Hello and welcome to another edition of the Big Rican on Sports podcast. I am your host. I am the Big Rican. Today is Wednesday, May 20th. First things first, happy anniversary to my best friend Mike and his wife Tina. 15 years of marriage as of today. Feels like it was just yesterday that we were at their wedding and I was their best man. Second thing, so you're wondering where I've been for a while. Well, I've been waiting to find out when I could wear this. My New York Mets alternate home jersey and my new hat. Baseball is finally on the horizon. A lot of good things coming out. We're going to get to some of what the owners and MLB laid out for the players, and some of the players' concerns, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on it. We're also going to talk about the Cleveland Browns. The schedule is out. The dates are out. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to go through my prediction for the Browns this season. Going to be a lot of surprises after some of the things I've said before. And also going to start with the first thing, and that is today's ESPY nomination of Kevin Love for the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award. Kevin Love, who of course is the really remaining big player from the Cavaliers 2016 championship, has been nominated for the Muhammad Ali Award for his humanitarian works in Cleveland mostly. Of course, Love pledged a lot of his own money to make sure that the workers at, I want to say Quicken Loans Arena, but it's Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I keep forgetting that. It's like calling Progressive Field to Jake. It's just not something you're supposed to do. At Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, he has put a lot of his own money into keeping these people as much of afloat as he possibly could in this time. Of course, with no basketball, no games, you're not going to get paid if you don't work, if you're a stadium worker. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are missing a lot of income. Kevin and the rest of the players, but really spearheaded by him, have gone out on their own and done a lot to make sure these people are taken care of. So hats off to Kevin Love and his nomination. I hope he wins. He's a great guy. He chose Cleveland as opposed to some other players who were on that team, and he has been very good to his adopted home city for a lot of years now. I figure he was traded for in the summer of 2014. So Kevin Love has been a Clevelander for the last 6 years. So the next we're going to get to is my Browns predictions. Now, I am going to say this now. These are what I think they're going to do. I'm going to go through each game individually, and I'm putting it in highlighter. Green is for wins, the pink is for losses. So this is what will go. I will take a snapshot of this at some point in time, and this will be available to people who question me as the Browns play out the season. So, week 1, Cleveland has to open at defending division champion Baltimore. We talked about in the Draft and More episode, Baltimore got better. The addition of Patrick Queen to play linebacker, Calais Campbell to play defensive line, and of course J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State to play running back with Lamar Jackson back there. Browns haven't won an opener in forever, and they're not going to win it here. Cleveland loses the road opener against Baltimore to start out 0-1. Now, a lot of people would say I'm getting crazy with thinking that they're going to lose this game, especially after the way they played last year in Baltimore, handing the Ravens one of their 2 losses, and it was a 15-point whooping. Nick Chubb had a huge day. Baker had a great day. They tore up the Baltimore defense, and the Browns defense held Lamar Jackson in check. Here's the difference. The Ravens, I just feel, are a better team right now. And notice I said right now. Because if the Browns find a way to bring in Jadeveon Clowney to play opposite Myles Garrett, that's a different animal. But I'm doing this based on right now. And no, if they bring in Clowney, I'm not going to say they're going to go 16-0. So they're going to start out 0-1, losing a tough one in Baltimore. The defending MVP is going to have his way a little bit. The Browns are going to lose game 1. They're not going 16-0, whether I want to say they are or not. Week 2, we get the Battle of Ohio against the Cincinnati Bengals and the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow. The Ohio boy will come home and play his first game in Cleveland in Week 2, which will be a Browns win. I think the Browns pass rush will be something Burrow hasn't seen for a while. One thing outside of having Billy Price on that offensive line from Ohio State, he's going to have some growing pains. Mixon's a great back. They still have A.J. Green. But here's the thing. The Browns will win their home opener for the first time in, again, forever. to get to 1-1. The cool thing about the Browns' schedule is it's very symmetrical. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very symmetrical. In the first 4 weeks, 2 on the road, 2 at home. In the second 4 weeks, 2 on the road, 2 at home. Same thing. It's all split up. There's never a long road trip. There's never a long homestand. Works out well. So after 2 weeks, we got the Browns at 1-1 with the Washington Redskins and former Ohio State quarterback and Heisman Trophy finalist Dwayne Haskins making his first trip to Cleveland in a regular season game. Of course, Haskins played with the Redskins last year in their preseason game with the Browns. Did not look good. Mack Wilson picked him off. One of his 2 picks in that game for Mack Wilson. Haskins, listen, he's got another Ohio State brethren there now with the drafting of Chase Young at number 2 overall. I do like the Browns to win this game. I don't think the Redskins are there yet. I think 2 weeks in a row in front of the home crowd will rejuvenate the Browns, get them to 2-1 going into week 4, which is a matchup I don't know if anybody wants, but I think the Browns can handle it. Week 4 at Dallas. Yes, Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys of Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. Insanity. That is an offense that is going to have to be reckoned with. Luckily, the Browns have Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, now Grant Delpit, the safety out of LSU. I like the Browns to get to 2-2 here. I think Dallas will hold serve in Jerry World and get a win here. It will be a close game. Baker, of course, from Texas, will be going home to play in that stadium. A lot of nerves, a lot of family. Maybe not the best day for Baker, but I got the Browns 2-2 out of the first 4, which I think will set them very well to get into the playoffs and be in the talk the entire season. Then you have the visiting Indianapolis Colts. Not of Andrew Luck or Jacoby Brissett, but the Indianapolis Colts of Phillip Rivers. Yes, that's right. The old man went from the sunny shores of San Diego to the snow capital of the Midwest, Indianapolis, Indiana. And he's going to play probably his final year in the league. He actually has a deal to be a head coach of a team in Alabama once he's done playing. What are you making plans for, dude? You got a year to play. You have fans that couldn't stand you that now are going to root for you, but you're going to talk about what you're doing when you're done. Shake my head. The thing is, Indianapolis' defense is not as good as people think it is, in my opinion. They're still an undersized front. I believe the Browns' offensive line, remade now with Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills Jr. on the front line, will get a big day for Nick Chubb and protect Baker. I have the Browns winning that game to go to 3-2 on the season through the first 5. A lot different than last year. Last year's first 5 were very tough. Then we get our next road game in the division at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, I think the Browns are going to hold serve at home against a lot of teams and lose some of the games on the road. I have them losing this one in Pittsburgh. Big Ben is back. Connor is going to be another year in the starting role, maybe a little healthier. I think Ben gets it done at home. Notice I said at home. We don't see the Steelers again until week 17. So the Browns get to 3-3 through 6, and this is where I think the Browns will start to make some hay in getting some wins in a row. And we start against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. Second matchup of the year. I don't think the Bengals are going to be in a lot of contention for a lot of these games. Browns win to get to 4-3. Heading in to play the Raiders in Cleveland in week number 8. Gruden didn't get Tom Brady. Gruden reached for a wide receiver. He doesn't like Derek Carr. His defense is not as good as people think it is after the trade of Khalil Mack to Chicago a couple years ago. Browns get to 5-3 going into the bye. Speaking of symmetrical, 8 games, bye, 8 games. The Browns get their bye in the middle of the season. It's a huge, huge thing to get everybody healthy and to move forward. So the Browns go 5-3 heading into the break for the bye in week 9. Then they jump out of the break in Houston against the Texans. You know what? I'm changing something on this one. So I showed you this. Green and pink for wins and losses. I'm going to put the Texans in the green column. I don't think that... You trade DeAndre Hopkins for what? Nothing. You don't go out and get a good wide receiver to take his place. You can say what you want about the free agent acquisitions of whoever they got. It doesn't matter. It's not DeAndre Hopkins. Their defense is very good. Has taken a step back since they traded Jadeveon Clowney. J.J. Watt is getting older, still a dominant force. We don't know if J.J. is going to make it to this game. So I'm going to switch that and one other one that I had coming up soon here. And I'm going to give a W to the Browns in against Houston at home to go to 6-3. Where I'm flipping it is here. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will beat the Browns in Week 11 in Cleveland. So the Browns will lose a game at home to get to 6-4 after those. Listen, the Eagles are a very good team. They're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl championship. Carson Wentz is I believe, a legitimate franchise quarterback. And they added Jalen Hurts to be the safety valve and to be really kind of that Taysom Hill, do everything type of player. So I'm going to flip-flop that. And I'm going to say they beat Houston and they lose to the Eagles in Week 11 to get to 6-4. Then it's the first 2-game road trip of the last few weeks. At Jacksonville, at Tennessee. I think they're going to destroy the Jaguars. Jaguar. Not Jaguar. Jaguar. The letters W-I-R-E are not in that word. Sorry, big pet peeve. They win at Jacksonville. Nick Foles, who is not there, he's in Chicago now. It's the mustache show. Gardner Minshew. Garrett's not going to get stupid and get suspended again. He's going to have his way with Jacksonville's offensive line. I feel that Jacksonville's defense has some things to make up. I didn't like their draft, really. They did take a corner, but I thought they reached a little bit. So I got the Browns getting 7-4 after beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then to the Tennessee Titans, who put a whooping on the Browns in Week 1 last year, and of course had that magical run to the AFC Championship game to a huge lead, and then Patrick Mahomes happened. Look, I got the Browns losing that game to go to 7-5. Yes, Tennessee lost Jack Conklin, who was an anchor on that offensive line, but they still have Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill has been reborn there. They've got good weapons, and their defense is better than people think it is. They're kind of sneaky, where they can pick apart a game plan and really, if they stay with it, can stop guys. Mike Vrabel is a great, great head coach. Gee, wonder where Vrabes went to college. Vrabel, of course, the former Ohio State Buckeye. He was the Ohio State defensive coordinator under Luke Fickell in his year as the interim head coach. Went on, of course, won a few rings with the New England Patriots as a player. Went on to be defensive coordinator in the NFL, and now he's the head coach in Tennessee. Has done a phenomenal job with this team. He's going to get a win over the Browns in Week 13. Now, Cleveland is 7-5 going into the final 4 games of the season. They're at the 3-quarter pole. Now it's time to dig in. Scary part is, and I think this is me being a little optimistic, but I have the Cleveland Browns winning the next 4 games in a row. When you hear the bookends, there are 2 home games surrounding a road trip that they will not go home for because that would be stupid personally. I have them beating the Baltimore Ravens in Cleveland. So a flip-flop of what they did last year. The Browns beat Baltimore in Baltimore and lost to Baltimore in Cleveland. I have the flip-flop. They lose in Baltimore Week 1. They beat Baltimore Week 14 to go to 8-5 and possibly take control of the AFC North. Not sure. I don't know what the Ravens' schedule is outside of the Browns. I have the Browns winning 1 game and losing the other to the Baltimore Ravens. This is the one they win to get to 8-5. Now there's the road trip we're talking about. And I think I've seen many teams do this. But in weeks 15 and 16, the Cleveland Browns go to New York. They play the Giants in week 15 and the Jets in week 16. Let's start with the first one. I have them beating the Giants, which is going to get me yelled at when I'm done. I'm not a big believer in Daniel Jones. I am a big believer in Saquon Barkley, but I'm not a big believer in Daniel Jones. I think the Andrew Thomas pick was a reach. He was not the best offensive lineman on the board. They took him anyway. But he was the better run blocker. Saquon Barkley's the guy. They did not upgrade their defense. And this is the Odell Beckham Jr. homecoming. His first game in MetLife against the Giants. He is going to be amped up. And if Baker loves his boy like I think he does, Baker will get him the ball several times. Next week against the Jets. It's the Jets. Other than Mount Becton, I don't like the Jets at all. Le'Veon Bell will end up being traded by then. If it's me, I've never been high on Sam Darnold. The Browns are 10-5 going into the final game of the season in Cleveland against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, here is what I think will be on the line when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I firmly believe this will decide who's going to the playoffs and what seeding is. Although, I believe 3 teams from the AFC North can get to the playoffs. There's a very good chance that they play this game against the Steelers and run it back the next week in the wild card round, of them being the 4-5. Because the 6 is going to play the 3. I like Cleveland to beat Pittsburgh at home. So they split with the Steelers and the Ravens, and they win both games against the Cincinnati Bengals to go 4-2 in the division. They go 5-3 outside of the division. I can't believe I'm saying it. I have the Cleveland Browns going 11-5 in the 2020 season, and being probably the 5 seed. Not winning the division. I think the Ravens are going to go something like 12-4, 13-3, and win the AFC North. I think the Steelers can go 10-6, 9-7, and still end up in the playoffs. But I have the Browns at 11-5. Could they go 9-7? Yeah. Could they go 12-4? Yeah. The prognostication is what it is. Me personally, with what I've seen as far as what the roster is made of, what I think the coaching staff is made of, how I believe Baker will mature going into this season, and how I think his offense around him has gotten a lot better. Scarily better. I like the Browns at 11-5 to have their first way above 500 season in years and years. Cleveland, I hope I'm right. I really do. I will do a full season breakdown at some point in time. I will do predictions about who wins what division, who's going where. That's for another day once we know what's going on. So remember, green means win, pink means loss, with the exception of, I believe the Browns will win here, which is the Texans game, and I believe they'll lose here, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. 11-5 in 2020. I'll take it after last year's debacle. Why did I jump to 11-5 besides the players? I like what the front office has done. Andrew Berry has been a godsend for Cleveland fans. I like Kevin Stefanski. This is the guy who was the offensive coordinator of that Minnesota team that was an eyelash from a Super Bowl, but needed that game in their own building. He is battle-tested. Freddie, unfortunately, was not. Did I like Freddie Kitchens? Absolutely. Did I like the if you don't wear brown and orange, you don't belong, or you don't matter? I loved it. I loved it. But Freddie wasn't the guy. And unfortunately, it was a lost year for Baker Mayfield. And here we are. Now, we get to the best part of the night. The game that is so beautiful, it has to be played on a diamond, and that is baseball. We are an eyelash from Spring Training 2.0. There are many members of the Major League Baseball Players Association and the union reps especially that believe this deal is going to get done. We are going to see Spring Training 2.0 sometime the beginning of June. How awesome would it be for opening day of Major League Baseball to be the 4th of July? The day that they're the only game playing. 4th of July to be opening day. A rebirth on the day we celebrate our independence. I think that would be perfect. And I hope to God it happens. There's a lot of things going on with this. What the players were handed was very, very strict. I'm talking, you get out of bed, and first of all, you're in a hotel, distance from everybody else. They're talking about wanting to play this in the home stadium, so the Mets would play at Citi Field, Yankees at Yankee Stadium, yada yada. That is the one thing I disagree with. This needs to be the 3-division, 3-location plan that we have seen for months. The 10 teams that are in Florida: Mets, Yankees, Nationals, Astros, St. Louis, Detroit, Miami, etc. in Florida. The Central teams like the Indians. This is where I would change one thing. I would bring any East Coast team from Arizona down to Florida, because you have the Astros, you have the Rangers in Texas. I would put them in Texas. But you have an Eastern thing in Florida with your Eastern Division teams. The Pirates, the Phillies, the Mets, the Nationals, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Atlanta Braves, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins. That's 10, but I'm missing one. Baltimore. So Baltimore, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox. That's 4. Nationals, Phillies. That's 6. The remaining 4 being Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Tampa. So there's your 10 in Florida. It'll be tweaked for whatever they got to do, but they got to do this 3-location. Then you have teams from the central part of the country: St. Louis, Houston, Cleveland. Maybe even move Detroit to the central part of it because they're in the Central Division. But you run the 2 Eastern Divisions out of Florida, the 2 Central Divisions out of Texas, and the 2 Western Coast Divisions out of California and or Arizona. Trying to get to the stadiums, I think, is just going to cause problems. You're going to have the idiot Met fans who thinks they can sit in the parking lot and tailgate because they're feet away from people, and it's not going to work. You're going to have Yankee fans who think they can chill out on the train to try and get into a bar. It's not going to work. This needs to be centrally located. Whether if it means putting everybody in Orlando for Florida and doing it at Disney at the where the Braves train. Picking out either Houston or the Rangers' new stadium, Globe Life, I think it is, and sticking them there and saying you're playing here. Same thing in the West Coast. Pick San Diego. Pick L.A. Pick San Francisco, Arizona at Chase Field, or even at the spring training facilities, and keep them there. Let them play in front of no crowds. Let them stick the players in the stands. Let the coaches be the only people in the dugouts 6 feet apart. That's fine. Give us baseball. But they're talking about, you wake up, temperature right away. If it's over 100, you call the doctor, you self-isolate, you go nowhere. If your temperature's under 100 degrees, you go to the ballpark, most likely in uniform. There will be no showers, no whirlpools, no any of that stuff at the ballpark. There's no one-on-one meetings anymore. There's no... Your locker is going to be 6 feet apart. They're talking expanded rosters with basically what they call the shuttle crew. They're expanding rosters to possibly 50 players that can be interchangeable. You're going to need more pitching. I think that's a great thing, having more pitchers. Jeurys Familia, the Mets, actually came out and said he was worried about pitching and getting injured with the shorter season. You have no fans until we know it's safe. If that means the entire 2020 season is no fans, then so be it. That's fine. I would be more concerned about being safe for the people. So there's a lot that's going to go into this. The big thing is money. There is an estimate out there that Major League Baseball, for each game played without fans, is going to lose like $600,000 a game. There are players like Blake Snell and other ones saying, if I don't make my money, I ain't playing. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. Two big factors led to the NFL becoming the number one sport in this country. The invention of the internet and the baseball strike of 94-95. People are tired of hearing about it. Tom Glavine, who was one of the most outspoken members of the Players Association in 1994 and voted to strike and everything else, he knows this could be the death knell. The problem is if baseball doesn't do this right, there's going to be serious issues. Serious issues. This is on the players and management to get this right. Because again, if they don't get it right, there are going to be problems like no one has ever seen. Guys are going to have to wash their hands between innings. Baseball gets touched, it's out of play. Not that it's not like that now, but yeah. Pitchers cannot lick their fingers. No stepping off the mound, doing one of these. Not going to happen. Temperature taken at the ballpark. I mean, they're going to put as many of these restrictions in as they possibly can to try and get a season in. James Earl Jones said it best in his long-loved monologue from Field of Dreams. The one constant has been baseball. America has rolled past like an army of steamrollers, erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But the one constant has been baseball. Baseball didn't stop for World War II. It didn't stop. I mean, it stopped for the last time it stopped was the Spanish flu pandemic. 100 years ago. 102 actually. Didn't really stop for World War I either. But I'm talking to you on May the 20th. And the only baseball I've watched is either old games like tonight. SNY is showing Game 3 of the 1986 World Series. Or I have watched the computers, the show 20 simulations of this season. Mets are in first place, by the way. Getting baseball back will be a huge first step to normalcy. Because this time of year, we're talking about the NBA playoffs, we're talking about baseball. That's what we're doing in the sports world. So I have a feeling we're going to see a deal very quickly, and then we're going to see baseball on TV very soon, and it will be a welcome, welcome sight. Speaking of the NBA, they are also working toward the same thing because they have a champion to crown. I wish the Cavs would have had a full season. I think they would have made the 8th seed. So I'm going to wrap this one up by saying this. Next week when we do this, I am going to fully get into The Last Dance. Not saying I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to read up on it as much as I can. And then I'm going to give some controversial opinions. And I'm going to seek out what other people think at some point in time. There are a lot of people who aren't going to like what I'm going to say. And I don't care. As always, Big Rican can be found on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. YouTube, as you can see here, the video, Big Rican on Sports. On Facebook, Big Rican on Sports. My Twitter handle, @Big Rican on Sport. We will see you next week with the LeBron versus MJ video. Please, please let there be baseball soon. Have a great week, everyone. And last but not least, this is going up on Wednesday night, May 20th. Tomorrow is May 21st. A happy wedding anniversary to my mother and father. 43 years. You just don't hear it anymore. Have a good week, everybody.